Hey everyone, welcome to Primary Market Chatter brought to you by Sunday Investing. This is our June 4th week episode. What we'll be doing is we'll be speaking about a few companies in this one. Since there are a lot of IPOs, हमने सोचा दो पार्ट में break करेंगे इसको. So we'll do part one today where we'll cover six companies and hopefully we might do a part two as well. So before I get started, I just want to highlight a few things. As you guys know that we are not SEBI registered research analysts, so none of our opinions are really buy or sell or apply or not apply opinions. Everything can essentially needs to be taken at with a pinch of salt and definitely do your own due diligence. आप अपना ड्यू डिलीजेंस खुद से करें एंड ऑल्सो मेक श्योर कि आप अपने फाइनेंशियल एडवाइजर से अप्लाई कर बात करके ही आईपीओ अप्लाई या ना अप्लाई करें. What we say is not a qualified opinion, just what we feel about the company. Second, if you haven't joined YouTube, the link to YouTube is in the pinned comments. तो आप YouTube channel join कर सकते हो. Third, I understand I read a few comments with respect to Tanmay being missing from the space. Just want to highlight that he has a few personal commitments because of which he's away. So he would probably not be joining for the next couple of spaces from my understanding, but he'll be back after like 15 days, 2-3 space ke baad. He said he'll also try and join in the second half of the space if he has time. So we'll see if he's able to join today or probably after a couple of spaces he'll join. But definitely want to highlight, I read a couple of comments which mentioned a few things not in a very nice way. Just want to say that we have been very professional in our conduct of how we have done spaces. This end of the day is a voluntary effort. So anything which you say against us is kind of pinching in the fact that while we definitely appreciate any constructive criticism, the tone needs to be good. So definitely keep that in mind. We will not be and I'll see how we want to change the format also. I don't think people appreciate the effort or the amount of time and effort it goes into organizing this space, and it's a completely voluntary space. हम लोग किसी से कुछ चार्ज नहीं करते हैं इसके लिए. Neither do we, like, it's just four friends talking. It will remain that way, but we'll see how we want to change the format because honestly, and again, this is something which is coming from just me. I was very disappointed with some of the comments I saw. So Neeraj Gowda, if you are there, go for yourself. Having said that, maybe let's start today's company's review. So just setting up the order for the day. सबसे पहले तीन SMEs की बात करेंगे. We'll start with Mayasheel, then we will talk about Safe Enterprises, and then we'll Mayasheel, then Aakaar Medical, and then we'll talk about Safe Enterprises, and then we'll go to Mainboard companies. We'll be talking about three main boards. We'll be talking about Globe Civil, उसके बाद एलेनबरी की बात करेंगे और उसके बाद कल्पतरु की बात करेंगे. सो विल एंड विद कल्पतरु. दैट्स द ऑर्डर फॉर द डे. इन 6 कंपनीज को आज लेंगे और उसके बाद जो रिमेनिंग कंपनीज हैं, आई अंडरस्टैंड कि कई सारे क्वेश्चंस थे कि एचडीबी फाइनेंशियल का क्या रहेगा. सो अभी क्या एचडीबी फाइनेंशियल में वी स्टिल हैवंट रेड द कंपनी, प्लस देयर स्टिल मोर क्लैरिटी लेफ्ट व्हेन एंकर बुक कम्स इन एक्सेट्रा. सो वी आर थिंकिंग वील डू अ फॉलो अप ऑफ दिस स्पेस वेयर वील कवर the remaining two main boards, HDB Financial as well as Sambhav Steel. And then we'll also talk about whatever SME we like. There is a bunch of SMEs, so we might not cover all of them. But yeah, we will try and cover as much as we can towards the later half of next week. Having said that, maybe let me just quickly start करते हैं. 3 SMEs जल्दी से करते हैं. We'll start with Mayasheel Ventures. So incorporated in 2008, company constructs roads and highways for NHIDCL and other government departments. It undertakes projects on a EPC, engineering, procurement and construction, and BOQ basis, bill of quantity basis. In terms of just the IPO size, 27 crore का IPO है, all of which is a fresh issue, 27 CR IPO. Market cap is 104 crores, so they are diluting like 26.5%, whatever is the bare minimum needed. In terms of FY25 financials, कंपनी ने 172 करोड़ का रेवेन्यू किया है और 11.33 करोड़ का पैट किया है. So since the PAT is 11.33, it's coming pretty cheap. Like it's coming at 9p, which feels insanely low. But again, it's a road EPC company. So, and road EPC companies don't tend to get that high of a multiple, but we'll understand when we understand about the company. In terms of the LM is Narnolia Financial Services. So with that, over to you, Rohit, to speak about Mayasheel.
Thanks, Manish. And that was one hell of a start. I did not expect that opening from you, and I hope you don't edit it when you put it up on YouTube. Otherwise, what I'm saying now will not make any sense. But let me get started with Mayasheel. This will be a short review. It's a small company, and I don't want to spend too much time because we have a lot of issues here. So, like Manish said, this is a 26 crore raise, mainly for the typical reason most EPC companies raise, which is for working capital and a little bit of capex. So what these guys do is they're yet another road EPC company. We've seen quite a few of them. This particular one is focused in the northeast. So 95% of the revenue comes from Assam and Nagaland, which is a good and a bad thing. Obviously, this is a very geopolitically sensitive area. We've seen the Northeast have a lot of issues. Northeast also has a lot of weather-related issues. It rains very heavily. So that makes it a challenge to execute, but someone who executes well also should have an advantage. Of course, there are some uncontrollables. Geopolitical issues are uncontrollables, which means there can be delays and so on. So that is one thing to keep in mind here. As such, the business, though, operates a little bit like AVP Infracon, which is probably a more well-known road EPC player, where they have a lot of the equipment on their balance sheet, which means that they have the machinery and equipment as part of their own on their own books, which gives them additional control and generally gives additional margin, which is important when you are working in very, very remote areas where you cannot trust the rental players. Like otherwise you have to rent that equipment, right? And you cannot trust that rental quality or the timeliness and so on. So these guys actually have a fairly hefty balance sheet in that sense. There's no right or wrong. It's just that's their operating model. Like I mentioned, 95% of their revenue is from this Assam and Nagaland, but they are trying to diversify. If you see the current order book of around 200 crore, 60 crore of that is actually from UP in the Pilibhit area. So they've also mentioned that they're bidding in, I think, Andhra Pradesh also apart from UP. So the hope is that going forward that extreme risk of being from that sensitive area will go away. Historically, they've also done a little bit of electrification work, though today they have not. I mean, it's been many years since they've done any major electrification work, though they again say that they want to bid more in that. They have a 200 crore unexecuted order book, all of which is to be done as per their timelines in FY26 itself. So you can expect, if they execute, you can expect all of that revenue in this year, plus whatever additional they bid. One good thing is you can see that the company has ramped up the projects that they can bid for. And they can bid up to a single project of 400 crores. So if you look at what the company has done, they've scaled quite nicely, scaled quite well, despite operating in fairly challenging terrains. They did about 170 crore in top line last year. If you go by their working capital calculation, it looks like they want to grow another 35% for this year, maybe 220, 230 crore. They have the order book for that. I think they win one more order of which some of which revenue gets recognized. They will easily hit this number. And they have fairly decent margins also, though it is definitely lesser than ABP. They did 11 crore PAT, as Manish said. Now, one thing that is unique or unusual, I would say, in a good sense, is that their balance sheet and cash flows are actually very strong. You'll see that they hardly have any receivables, just about a month of receivables. They have positive operating cash flow, which is extremely rare. I've not seen a single other road EPC company that has positive cash flows. They have also given some reasons for it, saying that they have taken very specific concrete steps to pressure the government to releasing their payments very early. But this is very, very strange. And I think the market should value this. This company is coming at just at a 9 multiple, which is extremely cheap. Most the dead EPC companies, when I say dead, they're not bad companies, but the EPC companies that the market has forgotten. If you take recent examples like a K2 Infra or a Lakshya or a VL Infra, of course, the last two are not in road specifically. They will trade at 8-9 times. That is the price at which the deadest companies just come and stabilize at. And this company is coming at 9p. So I don't see a real risk. There's no downside at this price. The thing that I would have still avoided this company, but there's one interesting lead investor in the pre-IPO, which is a certain Manoj Agarwal, whose companies have a tendency to perform without anyone really understanding what the story is. They have a tendency to do very well at listing or often just post listing. And I would say, as such, company looks nice, looks decent. It's a small company. It's yet another road EPC. By itself does not look very interesting, but I would say a risk taker can actually apply. I don't see downside here. And there is every chance that this will either list somewhat well or will suddenly do very well post-listing, list 5-10% and then run post-listing, or actually list surprisingly high. So I feel there are certain ingredients here that a risk taker can take advantage of. There's a lot of competition next week, so you decide where you want to put your money. But someone who just wants to try something a little left field and maybe get good allotment can take a punt here. I personally will be taking a bet.
Got it. Have you covered towards the last part? But having said that, just want to highlight a couple of things. First, 24th को ही IPO close हो रहा है, so 24th को बहुत ज़्यादा भीड़ नहीं है, honestly. Like it's just Mayasheel, Safe and Aakaar. And then you can repeat all of that money in Mainboard as well as in SME. So on SMEs, 24th is just 3, right? So I feel Mayasheel would be decently subscribed per se, because everything else is closing on 26th and the money would be back. For 26th, two things to keep in mind which I want to highlight. One is LM repute, Nanolia LM. So again, not the best, like definitely not with, let's say, Hames of the world. So definitely keep that in mind. But having said that, I'll also be applying to this issue just because I feel downside is capped. I don't know about the upside, but usually when you are just protecting your downside, upside tends to take care of itself. यही सोच के मैं तो जय माता दी करने वाला हूँ. That is what my honest review was when I had seen the company. But yeah, Rohit, you were saying something, I guess.
No, I think the main thing, I think, is Safe Enterprises is such a large issue, and I will cover that. But I also think that's a pretty decent company. So you will have to play between the two. But yeah, it is not as much bleed as 2 days later.
Yes, 2 days later was so proper line hai. But yeah,
Correct.
that is what our review was of Mayasheel. Again, I think इसकी ankle list आ गई थी. Was a usual ankle list only. In fact, पहले दिन ही QIP also subscribed some 7x. So I don't see somehow this having any risk on the lower end.
Yeah, I have a feeling last minute this will have a substantially higher subscription than like a near zero GMP company would suggest. I think Holani was also there in the anchor as one somewhat decent name. But yeah, otherwise it was a normal SME flipper anchors.
Yep, yep. Earth AIF was also there, Beeline ka. So Beeline hai, Hola nahi hai, so take a bet. Like again, I would take a bet. We'll see. But yeah, road EPC. And from the ground report that I have received, I'm not like super certain about the company. It's uncertain. So I would flip. If I get it, I will flip at some moment of time. I'll see kitna rakhna hai in basis when I want to flip. Assuming I get it. Let's see. So that is what the review of Mayasheel was. इसके बाद let's kind of move on and talk about the second company. The second company we'll be talking about is Aakaar Medical Technologies. Setup करता हूँ मैं company को. So started in 2013. Company is a aesthetic medical company that offers diverse selection of specialized cosmetic products and devices. तो कॉस्मेटिक प्रोडक्ट्स और डिवाइसेस की कंपनी है. इट्स डील इन स्पेशलिटी प्रोडक्ट्स में डील करती है जो डर्मेटोलॉजिस्ट, प्लास्टिक सर्जन, एस्थेटिक फिजिशियंस, कॉस्मेटोलॉजिस्ट एक्सेट्रा यूज करते हैं. बहुत पुरानी कंपनी है. आई थिंक 2013 से पहले भी मैं एलएम की मैं जो फाउंडर है उसकी प्रोफाइल देख रहा हूँ. इज बीन वर्किंग ऑन इट एज अ LLP or something partnership for the last 25 years or 30 years, something like this. It's an old company. In terms of the IPO, the IPO is coming off 27 crores, all of which is a fresh issue. मार्केट कैप अगेन वही सिमिलर टू मायाशील 102 करोड़ की मार्केट कैप पे आ रहा है. 27 करोड़ डाइल्यूट कर रहे हैं. वही बेयर मिनिमम 26-27%. FY25 फाइनेंशियल्स की बात करूं तो कंपनी ने 62 करोड़ का टॉप लाइन किया है. बॉटम लाइन किया है 6 करोड़ का. So the company is coming at like 15 to 16 PE. In terms of LM, the LM is Indo-Orient, who has a decent repute in the industry, at least. Like quite a few have done well, and then quite a few have been slightly mediocre. But yeah, with that, maybe Yash, do you want to go ahead and talk about Aakaar Medical?
I was saying what you covered right now was my review for Aakaar Medical.
Go ahead and do a formal review still.
So the company was incorporated in 2013. What they offer is aesthetic dermatological products and devices across India. And so the company is very small. So 102 crores market cap at 72 rupees per share. Their primary revenue comes from the aesthetic products, dermatology, cosmetologist, Then there is 14% coming from the devices, etc. Out of which 38% is from their own brands. They have a very wide range of products. I think they have 150 plus SKUs and diverse mix across also, like injectables, skincare, devices, home care. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to slowly enter into the plastic surgery, gynecology, and maxillofacial care segment. What I like about the business is कि जो ये injectables वाला and plastic surgery वाला and this all this gynecology वाला जो segment होता है, this is very sticky in nature. For example, if someone has done the Botox once, it's kind of a recurring revenue for the company. Also, what I like is जो दिलीप मेसवानी है, the founding and managing director, is a qualified biomedical engineer and have a very vast experience of 20 plus years in medical aesthetics. बेसिकली ये जो मॉडल होता है वो ऐसे चलता है कि देन देयर आर टू मॉडल्स कि एक स्टॉकिस्ट होता है एंड देयर इज विच इज काइंड ऑफ एक्टिंग एज अ डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर एंड देन देयर इज कंपनी सेलिंग देयर ओन प्रोडक्ट्स. तो मोटा मोटी इसका जो प्रोडक्ट बाइफर्केशन है, आई थिंक आई कैन रिमेम्बर मेनली आई थिंक 70% इज फ्रॉम द कंपनी इटसेल्फ. दे आर वेरी रिलायंट ऑन द इम्पोर्ट्स, क्योंकि ये क्या करते हैं कि ये लोग वाइट काइंड ऑफ अ वाइट लेबलिंग करते हैं एंड दे आर using as their own brands. पैट मार्जिन भी इनका एक्सपैंड हुआ है FY24 से FY25 पे. 6% के आसपास का पैट मार्जिन इज क्लोज टू 9.5 to 10%, which is good thing. But these are the players which is not suitable as per me or मतलब my compatibility or many of the other investors who are there in SME segment, because these are the type of companies where these very small companies become a acquisition or a target for a bigger company. So that is how I have seen these many companies in past 2-3 years working in a private equity firm. There were many companies which a private equity evaluates. So keeping those things in mind, I think this can be avoided or at least better see post listing, क्योंकि these are the type of companies where जहाँ पे एक अच्छा मैनेजमेंट, सो सी यहाँ पे मैनेजमेंट के पास ऑलरेडी एक्सपीरियंस है, बट द कॉन्फिडेंस इज कि इतने टाइम से कर रहे हैं, बट देन ऑल्सो दे हैव नॉट स्केल्ड इट टू वेरी बिग लेवल. दैट इज माई पॉइंट. तो दीज कैन बिकम अ टारगेट फॉर द बिगर कंपनीज. तो उसमें अपने लिए कुछ बचता नहीं है एज अ इन्वेस्टर. So for the business owner, it's very good thing, but for an investor, we are here to make money. I don't think इतने साल से they have expanded very rapidly. Right now, using the IPO proceeds, they have plans to go into injectables, etc. It looks very good on surface, but given the Indian market, it's very taboo around here. Considering the injectables and the Botox and the other treatment as well. So I think we can skip this, given that we also have many other SMEs and Mainboard companies aligned, which are much better and giving much better risk reward ratios.
Got it. Thanks, Yash. मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है, ये ट्रेडिंग करते हैं कि वाइट लेबलिंग करते हैं? लाइक डू दे हैव देयर ओन प्रोडक्ट एंड ऑफ द डे अंडर द Aakaar Medical brand, or like is it
So
just like
yes, they
importing
do
and then
have
selling?
their own brand, but it's mostly contract manufactured via someone else, I guess.
Got it. And then अगर brand है भी तो भी size is so small, like 62 CR revenue, right? That
Yes.
like, and it's an old business end of the day, right? Like as I was saying, they've been doing it for quite some time. So again, scalability is slightly challenging. So I would also be avoiding the business for now, at least prima facie, what I can understand. I think we are good with Aakaar Medical. In the interest of time, we'll quickly move to Safe Enterprises. A couple of things before that, if you joined late, definitely go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. वहाँ पे भी हम अपना ये जो reviews है वो मैं आज रात को I'll try and do it and post it there. And second thing, if you have any questions, definitely feel free to post them in the chat as well. We'll definitely be taking questions. With that, एक बार move on करते हैं and let's talk about Safe Enterprises retail fixtures. Set up in 1976, the company designs, manufactures, supplies, and installs shop fittings and retail fixtures, providing a range of customized solutions across various retail segments such as fashion, electronics, and department stores. In terms of the IPO, it's a huge size SME IPO. 170 crore का SME IPO है, 169.74 CR, which is the biggest SME IPO of 2025. The market is slightly shaky, so I'm not 100% sure how much it will get subscribed, but it's a big size IPO. And from what I know, Rohit really liked the company as well. We'll see when he talks about it. In terms of the market cap है 634 crore, 634 CR. So they are diluting like good 30% of the company at a 634 CR valuation. But all of the issues is for fresh issue. We'll see where they want to use the 170 crores for. In terms of the FY24 financials, company ने revenue किया है 140 crores का और PAT है 39 crores. So लगभग 40 CR का PAT है, 15 के PE पे आ रहा है. So big PAT, huge PAT. But again, there's been a very fast jump over the last 2-3 years. We'll see. LM की बात करूं तो LM Hem Securities है. Hem Securities का IPO है. The anchor list at least very high level I saw was very good. I saw good names, a few good names there as well. But again, there have been quite a few shoes as well who have blanked even with a brilliant anchor list from Hem just because of big size. So with that, having set it up, Rohit, do you want to go ahead and talk about Safe Enterprises?
Thanks, Manish. So I'll try and cover this one as well as I can, and then you can ask any questions. So I think, like you mentioned, this is interesting because one, it is a very large raise. It's coming at an interesting time given markets are starting to recover, but it feels like at any point in time things could change. What these guys do is they do everything from, it's basically end to end, from design to manufacturing to installation of everything that you would see when you enter a store. Let's say you go to a Zudio, which is one of their large clients. The racks, the lighting, the woodwork, all the metal stuff that you'll see, all the plastic stuff that you'll see, basically everything minus so once the shop comes in, or once you get the empty shell of the store, minus the merchandise, which is the actual clothes, everything in the middle is what they do. And that requires some level of, firstly, it requires a level of design and understanding of merchandising, which means what goes where should different, how should the layout be so that you can maximize revenue for a shop. So I'll give a slightly contra example. We have a lot of companies that also do, let's say there was a recent one called Elegance Interior which came, or there was this Blue Pebble that came some time back, which does a lot of, say, design for offices and stuff. That does not have the same level of, in my view, the same criticality or importance or the value that someone who's designing the inside of a retail shop has, because this is directly attached to the revenue or directly affects the revenue of the company. That is why I find this segment interesting, and there is a competitive advantage and generally higher margins here also. So like I mentioned, they do the standard stuff, which is all these channels, columns, racks, shelves, doors, all of that they do, and that will be customized. But what I found interesting is that they also do some of this modular electrical work that integrates with, say for example, with LED lighting or digital screens, for example, things that are additionally can be either smart or certainly things that have an electrical component to them in the retail outlet. That today is done by a subsidiary of theirs, which is roughly 30% of the revenue of this business. And I would urge you guys to watch, there's this Stock Knocks video on YouTube, which is this channel run by Vishnu Agarwal. You can see a very good video which covers the sort of things they do over and above what a normal shop or a normal outfit that just puts up the retail fixtures inside versus what these guys do. And there was this company sometime back called Naman & Store, which is also considered a peer here. That company is more on the first part, which they just do the basic, woodwork and metalwork and stuff. Whereas this company goes a lot beyond that. And I think it is worth you guys seeing it to really understand what they do differently. So this company also has two entities, or actually they have three. The first main entity is the one that does the normal retail fittings. They have 2 subsidiaries. So one of the subsidiaries does all of this electrified LED, the slightly smart fittings. And then there's a third subsidiary that does some consulting. I'm forgetting the number, just a few crore of revenue. I'm just going to ignore that company even exists. I think it is some legacy sort of company that with one of the promoters who's the CA started, and it just gives a couple of crores here and there. Overall, what so I found that firstly, their numbers are very strong. They did almost 140 crore revenue. They've been growing almost 50% year on year. Very, very high margins, 37% EBITDA, 28% PAT. To be honest, for a normal fixtures kind of business, these are raise eyebrow kind of numbers. I don't have a great answer. I'm guessing this is because they obviously do a lot of design as well. They also have one client who I'll come to later, but one single client with whom they clearly have very good terms. And that could be one of the reasons why they have such high margins. Plus maybe a little bit of that consulting thing is adding to their margins. But this company has unusual margins, and I'm not sure how to validate this. And there is no other place online, at least, where I could validate why these numbers are so high. They have very, very good, cash flows, very good balance sheet. And like I mentioned, like one single client gives them 85% of their revenue, and that client gives them a 50% advance. So all of that is very, very powerful, when you just look at the balance sheet of this company. Based on what they're saying on the working capital side, they want to almost double their business. So they're saying that they can do about 260, 270 crore in FY26, which is not strange, but I just tell you because I'm coming to the capacity of this business. So till FY25, they are operating at almost a 90% capacity across all of their different plants. They're raising the funds to consolidate their 4 facilities. So they have 4 different facilities, 3 for metalwork and 1 for woodwork. They want to consolidate them all into one single factory. But the problem is that is only going to happen by by end of FY27, which is December of 2026. So as such, they don't have a lot of extra capacity to do the sort of numbers that they are saying they will do. There are 2 things here. One is they say that till that time, they're going to try and use third party. So they will use some external manufacturing to make up for this. They admit that they will not have any new capacity till then or sufficient capacity then. So they're going to use a lot of external manufacturing. So the good thing is at least that is explained in the RHP. And the second is they do say there's a smaller facility that they have just taken up in August 24, which will come live soon in double quotes. So I don't know how fast that will be. There's also a small part of the capex from the raise, which will go live end of this year. The problem here is it is not clear what these capacity numbers will be, what that soon means, how much the smaller capacity will increase their overall capacity, and even the new capacity, how large it will be. So all of those, maybe those are things that if there were a direct one-to-one with the promoters, if they do a roadshow, definitely I hope someone has asked. Maybe someone has asked already. I was not part of it. They can put it in the comments. That would be helpful. But this capacity piece is one piece where I'm not sure what the numbers are. Because of that, how exactly they will double their business as per their working capital, and whether they'll do it by maintaining the same margins, given that they're going to now outsource to remove that bottleneck, is a question for this year. Whatever it is, though, they clearly are ambitious and they're saying that they want to double. Even if they grow 40-50%, that is fantastic. Now, their largest customer, which is 85% of their business, it appears to be Tata. They say that they work with Zudio, they work with Westside, they work with a lot of the other smaller Tata brands or the Tata-owned brands. And in multiple interviews, they have mentioned that, yes, we have one client, which is Tata, but we actually work with every single brand or all of their sub-brands, and they are all much smaller. So it's not a concentration risk in that sense. I guess each of you have to decide to yourself. To me, working with a Tata and having such a strong relationship with a brand like Tata is definitely a positive. They are saying that, one of the things this whole IPO will help them do is to start serving clients beyond Tata, because Tata just takes up all of their capacity. So, but yeah, for me, as of now, for a small company to have such a big relationship with Tata is definitely a positive. Another interesting thing was they have, if you go through their RHP, you'll see that they have a lot of designs which are patent published. There are some 13, 14 designs for different kinds of channels and different kind of fittings, which are patent published, which means that they actually have a fairly strong design team. They say that they have about 15 employees that are just focused on design, that is product design. And I personally think that is a competitive advantage. It's again rare to see this in an SME. None of these are patent, granted currently, but they've all been applied and the patent has been published, which means other people can look at it, review it, and so on. One other small thing was that promoter, so whatever interviews are there online is with one particular promoter, is the son of the sort of chairman. He's the CFO. He is actually visually challenged. And again, I personally found whatever I could see fairly impressive. This is me looking at it on a YouTube video, so that's unfortunately the limit to what I can understand. I have not got a direct sort of read from the ground, but I found it very impressive what he has achieved and what he's doing while being visually impaired. So again, everyone can sort of look at what they think. Another couple of things. One is, like I mentioned, I really like the sector. It is not just me, but there are two other things. One is, of course, Naman Store actually had interest from Ashish Kacholia, and he did invest in this company. It has not done well. That's a different thing. Not done well so far, let me say. And there is this company called 91 Square Feet, which is a VC funded company. Very similar space, maybe a little bit more technology, but exact same in this retail fitting sort of space, just funded very recently. They've raised almost 10 million, which means that there is definitely big investor interest in this segment, which is a sort of validation for me. The pre-IPO round about 2 weeks ago had two interesting names. One was India Ahead, which is Abacus, which is Sunil Sangania's fund, and Sri Sumna, which is another fund that is linked to Abacus. So clearly they are quite interested in this. And if you look at the anchors, it had Mukul Agarwal, Madhu Kela's fund, obviously Sunil Sangania's fund, and of course other normal investors also. But clearly big investors do like the space and like what they're doing and find something unique. This company is coming, in my view, fairly attractively. If that 39 crore PAT is and 28% PAT margin is sustainable, this company is very cheap. It's coming at 15 or 16 times, I think. Given that they have fairly unique capabilities, I think 15, 16p is not at all a lot to pay for a company like this. I personally will be applying. GMP didn't look very high to me, and it may not even list that well because of just the size of this issue, but the company looks very strong to me. So I would seek some clarity on the margin piece and the plans on FY26. So let me see if I can try and find that out in some other way. But in the meantime, I definitely will be applying, and then we'll take a call on buying more, hopefully with more information.
Thanks for the question. Obvious question. 30% BAT margin, 85% advance, 50% advance, 85% being paid from one customer. Too good to be true, because at least that's what it seems to be. Like if I discount everything else,
it is like, see, the fact that they are getting 85% from Tata, it is not just any client. It is definitely Tata, even though they cannot name it, is not a bad thing, right? I mean, I don't think anyone would say that being able to crack Tata at that scale, to give them 120 crore of revenue in a year is phenomenal. And it only means that they have done well in whatever they've done so far, because they're continuous, that concentration in a way is kept going up, which means they've been increasing their share of Tata over the last 3 or 4 years. So in my view, that speaks to the quality of execution. And at least what they are saying in the RHP is that because they have such a large, not dependence, but basically getting so much business from one guy that they're not able to take other people, which is why they need to scale up and, they're raising the funds and so on. It's definitely being spun like a good problem to have, which is I've got one guy who's super profitable for me, who has amazing terms with me. He gives me 50% advance. He keeps my cash flows incredible. Why would I not prioritize that? And as I scale up, I will now, use my new facilities to take on all the other clients I'm not able to take. Those might over time worsen my terms, maybe reduce my margin a little bit. But right now, as a bootstrap business, I will do what is best for my business today, right? So I don't think that is a problem given who that concentration is from. 50% advance is fantastic, man. If I could get 50% advance from my client, I would take it all the time. And margin, like I said, I feel partly because they have a very good deal with Tata, and partly because what they do is a bit more specialized. They will definitely do a lot of the design and the merchandising angle also for each of the stores, which will have a direct revenue impact. So that will also improve the margins a little. Having said that, yes, the number is very high. So that one clarity, definitely, I also want to get some. Explain why. Why is it 37% EBITDA for a business like this? Is there a separate design piece that is just at a 80% EBITDA that, pulls the whole thing up, and my core, retail fixtures and whatever the products I sell are sitting at normal 15% EBITDA, then that makes a lot of sense. So that is the thing that I also do want to get clarity on.
There's no breakup of the different segments, like how much is the hardware, how much is the technology.
Yeah, see, generally people don't even view these differently. What I'm saying is more of a theoretical construct. It'll all come as a single billing. So it won't be separate business lines. It will be a single quote that they would have given, where in his head he will know, the promoter will know, okay, I know I've got these many design engineers and that is my cost of design and this is how much I'm able to charge for it and this is how much I'm charging for it. But it'll never actually be broken down anywhere because they'll not be different business units or anything internally.
Got it. Somehow I still want to get clarity, as you yourself said. But having said that, I've seen the interview which you had shared. I'd seen both the interviews. There was one more interview which you had shared. So definitely,
yes,
agree with you at least on paper in terms of promoter credibility, just the sheer willingness to perform. Like the way he mentioned that since he was visually impaired, he would put all his CA books on audio, listen to them, and then give his exam. So that was definitely inspirational in terms of how
very inspiring. I agree.
What all can we do? But there are questions with respect. But I'm assuming if we just go ahead with the fact that since there are a lot of big names in this, and you are assuming that these funds would have done their due diligence with respect. Because again, this is a question which comes in our mind. This is a question which would have came in their mind right away. But it's a business which is able to make 57% EBITDA.
I think people have been bitten by this assumption in the past. I think Sahasra is a very, very real example from not long ago, where you had the biggest names and maybe the biggest names also exited very quickly. And some new big names also came in. So we don't know, right? Some of these guys have a 3-year horizon for these companies. Many of us have a 1-week horizon for these companies. So it may not always play out. But yeah, I see, as much as possible, I don't want to rely on the fact that there are big names here. We ideally need to try and answer. So if, say, we know someone, and this is just a general point for people who are listening, because we also do this wherever we can use our network to try and reach out to someone at some of these funds. We try that and we try to find out what is the story behind it and what is the margin. Right now, I don't have it yet, but we are going to keep trying. We'll try and see if by the time the company lists, we are able to get a little more clarity on these questions.
Yep. And then I'm assuming you'll also post a thread on Safe because you have studied so much and you tend to do that whenever you like some company, right?
I will post on this and hopefully I'll have a little more information. Otherwise, I will post what I've told here.
Perfect. Yeah. With that, I think we are good on Safe, right? Anything else that we have to add?
Nothing else specifically. If people have questions, they can ask. I'll see if I can answer them.
Yeah, I had one question. I had a question I remembered. So is there a bulk order in this in FY25 which is adding up to all the revenue for the company? That's one thing which I received on a WhatsApp group. Maybe that's something which we need to study.
It's possible. I don't know, but I can check.
Yep. Got it. So that's something to look forward to, and maybe if there is, you can post about it in your thread as well when you do that. With that, we'll kind of move on and talk about the fourth company. This should be a very quick review. We'll start with Mainboards. We'll start with Globe Civil. Then we will move to Ellenbarrie Industrial Cases and then close it with Kalpataru. Ellenbarrie and Kalpataru are difficult to rate. There are different issues. We'll come to them. But let me just quickly wrap up Globe Civil projects. Incorporated in 2002, company is the integrated EPC company headquartered in New Delhi. It has completed 37 projects and is currently working on 12 ongoing projects, including 5 social and commercial projects. In terms of the IPO, it's a 119 crore IPO, 119 crore ka IPO. Mainboard के हिसाब से very, very small. In terms of the market cap, it's coming at a market cap of 424 crores. 424 crores per the company is diluting 119 crores, all of which is a fresh issue, around 27 to 28% of the company they are diluting. In terms of the FY24 financials, 334 crore का revenue है, 15 CR का PAT है. So it has it's coming at let's say around 25p FY25. In terms of no 25p FY24 क्योंकि FY25 का 9 months का ही डेटा था. We'll come to it when we talk about it. In terms of the LM is MEFCOM Capital, who is a new LM. Is like from what I know, they haven't had any issues till now. But with that, let me move on and talk about Globe Civil. It should be a small review. It's a EPC company, as I said. They majorly do educational institutions, sports facilities, etc. And they have a big reliance on one of the clients, like educational institutions. इनका 64% revenue आता है, sports infrastructure से 6% आता है, और हॉस्पिटल से आता है बाकी. सो दैट्स वेयर मोस्ट ऑफ दिस दे डू. दे हैव बिल्ट IIT गांधीनगर का कैंपस. दे आर करेंटली डूइंग एम्स दिल्ली का campus. So think of them as just another civil player. Then somehow they also do some EPC, TMT steel ka trading, which are found weird, but that's what they do. Trading of steel, and then the company also does some mechanical, electrical and plumbing work, architectural and structural work, HVAC, AC वाला काम, firefighting, fire alarm. Basically building बनाने में जो भी अपने को काम लगते हैं, ये कंपनी वो सब भी करती है. जेवी में काम करती है. मोस्टली इनके 6 जेवी करंटली लाइव हैं जिनके थ्रू ये काम करते हैं. ऑर्डर बुक की बात करूं तो कंपनी की ऑर्डर बुक 670 करोड़ की है अभी. जैसा मैंने बताया, तो इनका मोस्ट जो कस्टमर, मेजर कस्टमर जिससे मेन बिजनेस आता है, वो टेलीकम्युनिकेशंस कंसल्टेंट्स इंडिया है, जिनसे 26% बिजनेस आता है. अगर मैं अब कंपनी की मेजरली बात करूं तो कंपनी का आप देखोगे ग्रोथ नहीं है कहीं पे भी. रेवेन्यू हैज बीन प्रेटी कंसिस्टेंट in terms of like how the company has been doing over the last 4 years. Why they are raising their IPO majorly to fund their working capital. 75 करोड़ रुपए ये वर्किंग कैपिटल में यूज करेंगे, और उसके अलावा सम 15 CR का ये कंस्ट्रक्शन इक्विपमेंट और मशीनरी खरीदेंगे, और बाकी GCP है. तो दैट्स वेयर दे आर गोइंग टू यूज देयर अमाउंट एट. और उसके अलावा अगर मैं बात करूं तो इन पे ना एक केस भी चल रहा है करेंटली. लाइक इनने ना चंडीगढ़ में आई थिंक नेहरू हॉस्पिटल करके की हॉस्पिटल बना रहे थे, जिसको इनको कुछ 540 डेज में कंप्लीट करना था, 1.5 साल में, लेकिन इनने उसको 6.5 साल में कंप्लीट किया. तो जिसकी वजह से कंपनी पे अराउंड 25 CR का पेनल्टी का केस है, जो ये करेंटली फाइट कर रहे हैं, जिसकी वजह से इनको प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है. हैविंग सेड दैट, इट जस्ट सीम्स लाइक वन ऑफ दोस कंपनीज व्हिच हैज बीन वेरी स्लो. लाइक अगर आप इसका टॉप लाइन देखोगे तो FY22 में कंपनी ने 286 करोड़ किया था. FY23 में कंपनी ने 235 करोड़ किया, जिसका उन्होंने रीजन बोला कोविड. वेरी वेल अंडरस्टूड, मेक सेंस. FY24 में बात करोगे तो इन्हें 334 करोड़ की है. सो अगेन ग्रोथ हैज बीन समवेयर अराउंड दोज नंबर्स ओनली. और FY25 में भी देखोगे जो उन्हें 9 मंथ का रेवेन्यू दिया है, दैट इज 256 करोड़. तो अगर आप इसको कहीं ना कहीं एस्टिमेट मारोगे तो इट विल कम समवेयर अराउंड 350 करोड़, व्हिच इज अगेन लैंडिंग एट द सेम नंबर व्हाट दे हैड पर्टिकुलरली डन इन FY24. दे आर सेइंग दैट इट्स आल्सो बिकॉज दे डिडंट हैव द काइंड ऑफ वर्किंग कैपिटल व्हिच दे विल बी एबल टू रेज now that they'll be doing the IPO. But again, the management doesn't seem like, at least there are no interviews which I could find online, but in terms of like how I could understand or rely from the company, it didn't seem super enthusiastic to be able to push a lot of projects, and it will take their time. जैसे वो 700 करोड़ का भी इनके पास जो ऑर्डर बुक है वो बहुत पुरानी पहले से पड़ी हुई है, बट वो एग्जीक्यूट नहीं हो पा रही क्योंकि वर्किंग कैपिटल नहीं है या फिर कुछ इश्यूज हैं, और जो एक केस भी चल रहा है. सो अगेन इट डजंट इंस्पायर कॉन्फिडेंस पर से. बॉटम लाइन की बात करूं तो इन टर्म्स ऑफ लाइक FY24 दे मेड 15 CR, so 24 के PE पे. FY25 में 9 मंथ्स में इन्हें 17 CR कर लिया है. सो अगर मैं उस हिसाब से बात करूं तो दे शुड बी एबल टू क्लोज समवेयर अराउंड 24 CR बिकॉज 9 मंथ्स का डेटा. एंड देन FY26 का मैं एस्टिमेट मानूं कि क्योंकि वर्किंग कैपिटल आ जाएगा तो दे विल बी एबल टू इंक्रीज देयर रेवेन्यू फ्रॉम 360 to 430 करोड़ अप्रोक्सीमेटली. तो उस हिसाब से पैट भी शुड कम समवेयर अराउंड 32 CR is what I'm estimating the PAT to be. But still it's at like it's decently valued, I feel, around 10p even forward, which somehow these companies do not get, because it's the end of the day construction company, and had it gotten that kind of tremendous growth, market would have valued it. But इसकी growth के भी challenges हैं, तो I don't think the market would value it as much. So because of which I am kind of looking to avoid the company. I will not be applying. In terms of जो peers इनने दिखाए हैं, and PSP projects दिखाया है, which is like trading at 53p. Capacite दिखाया है, which is trading at 13p. But again, all of these are very different stories. This is a very small company compared to those, so I don't feel it should be compared to those giants as such. And I would personally be avoiding this issue. I just want to highlight one last thing in terms of like this company. Um, I have seen unusual pattern in how the company's GMP is trading. It might list well and then probably just be there somewhere around that time. So if you want to take a punt, can take a punt. Like not going into specifics, but I think that the risk of downside on listing is pretty less because the LM is new. Like I would leave it at that, but yeah, I think risk of downside is less. But in terms of long term, I'm not looking to hold this company because again, this is one of those Me Too businesses which you will find a lot of copies of and which hasn't been able to scale as much as you would have expected to. That is what my review of Globe Civil is. With that, I can just quickly look at if I have any questions right now. If not, we can kind of move forward and talk about one more company, which is Ellenbarrie Industrial Gases. And guys, this is where the space gets interesting. We'll talk about Ellenbarrie and Kalpataru because again, both of them are interesting. Ellenbarrie in पहले एक बार अगर किसी ने YouTube चैनल नहीं ज्वाइन किया है तो लिंक ऊपर पिंड कमेंट्स में है. Definitely go ahead and join that as well. In terms of Ellenbarrie, अब चालू करते हैं. Company incorporated in 1973 and is an industrial company specializing in production and supply of industrial, medical, and specialty gases. The company provides essential gases such as oxygen, carbon dioxide, acetylene, and also offers dry ice, synthetic air, firefighting gases, medical oxygen, etc., serving a wide range of industries. IPO की बात करूं तो it's a 852 crores IPO. 400 crores का fresh issue है, 450 crores का OFS है. Coming companies coming at a market cap of 5,600 crores. So they are diluting like 15% of the company. In terms and just a thing, this company was delisted back in the past from Kolkata Stock Exchange and then is getting relisted right now, if my understanding is right. But maybe Yash can correct me. In terms of the FY25 financials, company का revenue है 350 crores का और PAT है 80 crores का. So very healthy PAT margins, like 25% PAT margins. The company is coming in at a huge P, like 70-80 type of P है. So मैं high level पे calculate कर रहा हूँ तो 5600 by 80. In terms of the LM is Motilal, IIFL, and JM Financial. So with that, over to you, Yash, to talk about Ellenbarrie Industrial Gases.
Sure, Manish. So, Ellenbarrie Industrial Gases is a company which makes and supplies industrial and medical gases. So, basically, they are more focused in the type of gases, type of special gases which is used in factories, hospital, and even few space and they have clients in defense. So, assuming in defense projects as well. Uh, so, majority of their constitution is producing and supplying gases like oxygen, nitrogen, and argon. These gases are used in steel plants, pharmaceutical, welding, and glass making, and other industries as well. They also supply medical oxygen to the hospitals, etc. There is one video in the YouTube 3-4 years back when they are talking about supplying oxygen at the time of COVID. तो मेजरली तीन तरीके से दे डू बिजनेस. द फर्स्ट वन इज कि वो लोग लिक्विफाई करके दे सप्लाई द गैसेस. द सेकंड वन इज कि दे हैव एज जैसे गैस सिलेंडर्स आते हैं वैसे दे प्रोवाइड द सिलेंडर्स, बट उसमें मार्जिन एंड ट्रांसपोर्टेशन एंड लॉजिस्टिक्स कॉस्ट काफी बढ़ जाता है कंपनी का. देन द थर्ड वन इज कि वो ऑन साइट सेटअप करते हैं कंपनी के अंदर ही, वेयर दे directly supply the gases through the pipeline. So majority of these three are the delivery mode. जिसको 70% is liquefied gases, then 15% is cylinders, and then 15% is on site. In terms of the historical growth, the company has shown very significant growth past 2-3 years. Revenues are up 30-40% consistently. EBITDA and PAT up is almost 3x in last 2 years. The management is very confident and very bullish in the overall industry. In all the videos which I have seen, the interview videos, few pointers on especially about how the issue is priced. So on the face of it, it looks like this is a very expensive issue. But if you deep down and see how the industry is moving forward and how the peers are trading, uh, this Ellenbarrie looks very, very cheap to me in terms of its FY26 and FY27 calculations, which I have done prima facie. The long-term strategy for the company is to become an all-India player. They have moved from east to south. Now they're trying to move to west and to north as well. So majority of the expansion is coming uh, uh, to keeping in mind कि हमें overall India का market share gain करना है slowly. Market share right now is close to 3.2 to 3.5%. They're trying to scale it to uh, double digit early teens, like 11-12% in next 4 to 5 years, which is very good. Uh, in terms of few specific numbers, उन्होंने greenfield expansion के लिए 105 करोड़ का कैपेक्स करना है उन्हें आईपीओ फंडिंग से. देन दे वांट टू पे 210 करोड़ का डेट फ्रॉम दिस आईपीओ. द इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट कम्स राइट नाउ कि जो उनका विच आई टॉक्ड अबाउट कि वो कैसे डिलीवरी देते हैं. तो ऑन साइट वाला डिलीवरी इज द वन ऑफ द बेस्ट बेस्ट सेगमेंट फॉर देम. आई टेल यू व्हाई. क्योंकि उसमें क्या होता है कि सपोज आपका खुद का प्लांट है तो आपके खुद के प्लांट पे आके दिल सेटअप पूरा एसेट उनके पास रहता है. इट्स काइंड ऑफ आईपीपी जैसे अपने पावर प्रोजेक्ट्स में होता है. तो यू कैन अज्यूम कि सिमिलरली देयर इज आईपीपी 15+5 years के एक्सटेंशन क्लॉजेस के साथ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स रहता है. तो 15 years तक कैश फ्लो का दिक्कत नहीं होता. द ओनली थिंग इज those assets which they make will have to have in the balance sheet of the Ellenbarrie कंपनी. और उसकी वजह से डेप्रिसिएशन वगैरह का कॉस्टिंग हाई हो जाता है. तो बेटर इज कि वी लुक एट द EBITDA लेवल्स. एंड दिस इंश्योर्स दैट द कंपनी हैज वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग एंड रोबस्ट कैश फ्लो एज वेल. ठीक है. Now how they are transitioning is कि their targeted product mix is 50% on-site and 50% merchant mix. Right now it's currently 50% on-site and rest is 85% merchant mix. The interesting point is कि suppose आपका प्लांट आपने किसी और के साथ प्लांट बनाया है तो पावर का जो कॉस्टिंग है वो पूरा बच जाता है. तो जैसे मैं इनका कॉस्टिंग भी देख रहा था तो 2023 में 73 करोड़ का एक्सपेंस गया है पावर में, which is 36% of the revenue. 2024 में it's 77 crores, which is 28% of the revenue. 2025 में it's 75% और 75 crores, which is 23%. तो 36% से it's now down to 24% in the last 3 years. So this is possible because they're slowly expanding their on-site segment. ठीक है. अभी भी this segment is 15%. The targeting mix is 50%. तो उसमें क्या किया है इन्होंने कि जो इनका कैपेसिटी अभी नया आ रहा है. सो लास्ट ईयर इनके पास H2 में 600 टन्स पर डे का कैपेसिटी था. उसके ऊपर इन्होंने 170 टन्स पर डे का और कैपेसिटी ऐड करा. तो करंटली एज ऑफ नाउ 31 मार्च में उनका करंट ओन्ड एंड ऑपरेटेड कैपेसिटी इज 1370 टन्स पर डे. अभी जो नया कैपेसिटी बन रहा है तो 220 टन्स पर डे इज अ मर्चेंट कैपेसिटी विच दे आर ट्राइंग टू बिल्ड. देन दे विल हैव टू बिल्ड 320 टन्स पर डे का ऑन साइट कैपेसिटी एंड वन मोर 220 टीपीडी का मर्चेंट कैपेसिटी. तो 760 टन्स पर डे का एडिशनल कैपेसिटी लॉन्च हो रहा है जिससे कि जो टोटल प्रोजेक्टेड नेट कैपेसिटी है वो 2100 टन्स पे आ जाएगा. अब now imagine if this product mix changes and 50% of the revenue comes from the on-site businesses. उसमें आपका पावर कॉस्ट तो जा ही नहीं रहा है. तो जो भी कंपनी रेवेन्यू कमा रही है इट्स बेसिकली नेट ऑफ द रॉ मटेरियल क्योंकि एयर तो फ्री है. यू कैन ऑल्सो डीप डाइव इनटू द मैनेजमेंट इंटरव्यू जो एनडीटीवी के साथ उन्होंने करा है. यू विल गेट टू नो मोर अबाउट हाउ दे आर डायरेक्टली अकाउंटिंग इट इन द ग्रॉस मार्जिन्स इन द ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट. तो डायरेक्टली वो ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट में जाता है. तो आपका सपोज 50% अभी जो 23% 24% का पावर कॉस्ट दिख रहा है मेरे को, दिस विल इवेंचुअली गो डाउन. तो मेरा फिक्स्ड कॉस्ट ही कम हो जाएगा बिजनेस में. लेवरेज विल किक इन. अभी डेट इज ऑल्सो दे पेइंग ऑफ 210 करोड़ का डेट पे ऑफ कर रहे हैं. नेट डेट कंपनी फ्री हो जाएगी. आई थिंक दिस विल सेव देम एटलीस्ट 5-6 करोड़ का इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट एटलीस्ट. उसके बाद जो सो बेसिकली ये जो सारे लेवर्स हैं, ऑन साइट 15 + 5 ईयर का कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, देन देयर इज ऑपरेटिंग लेवरेज किकिंग इन, प्रोडक्ट पोर्टफोलियो का 50-50 पे होके जाना. सो इबिडा मार्जिन्स करंटली राइट नाउ इज 35%. लेवरेज वगैरह सब कुछ मतलब जो ऑन साइट पे जाएंगे तो उसकी वजह से इनका जो इबिडा मार्जिन है अभी वो 35% है, बट द इंडस्ट्री लीडर इज एट 50%. तो जब वो ऑन साइट वाला बिजनेस एक्सपैंड होने लगेगा तो देयर मार्जिन्स विल इवेंचुअली स्केल अप स्लोली एंड स्टेडीली इन नेक्स्ट 2 years इज व्हाट आई फील. तो नेक्स्ट 2 years में अभी 84 करोड़ के नेट प्रॉफिट से अभी कैपेसिटी यूटिलाइजेशन वगैरह भी मैं काउंट करूं तो मोटा मोटी आई थिंक 130-150 करोड़ ऑफ नेट प्रॉफिट आई एम अज्यूमिंग दैट दिल डू इन FY26. तो विच इज कमिंग एट अ फॉरवर्ड पी ऑफ 35 to 40 times वर्स्ट केस एंड बेस्ट केस पे लेके. तो एनपीएस आर ट्रेडिंग, लिंडे इज ट्रेडिंग 80 times FY27 with similar percentages and expenses etc. So this is very lucrative to me. We should apply this with a view for a longer term क्योंकि the growth is very good. Market share increase होगा, market size increase होगा, leverage kick होगा, leverage kick in करेगा, PAT margin increase होगा, EBITDA margin increase होगा. तो all these things are looking very good to me.
Got it. Thanks, Yash. I also had a similar view. Just want to highlight one thing on here. So जब आइनॉक्स सीबीए का कई लोगों को रिव्यू याद होगा, आइनॉक्स इंडिया केम इन. आइनॉक्स इंडिया बेसिकली ना क्रायोजेनिक टैंक बनाती है जिसमें इंडस्ट्रियल गैसेस सेव होती हैं. तो आइनॉक्स ग्रुप की एक मेन कंपनी आइनॉक्स एयर प्रोडक्ट्स जो कि इंडस्ट्रियल गैसेस बनाती है, उसी का ये कॉम्पिटिटर है एलेनबरी इंडस्ट्रियल गैसेस. सिमिलरली लिंट इज अ एमएनसी काइंड ऑफ कमिंग इन द सेम इंडस्ट्री. तो जब आइनॉक्स सीबीए आई थी, दैट्स व्हेन आई वाज स्टडीइंग एंड आई रिमेंबर दिस लाइन डिस्टिंक्टली वेयर पर्सन आस्क्ड हिम व्हाई शुड वी इन्वेस्ट इन दिस कंपनी. ही सेड इंडस्ट्रियल गैसेस टेंड टू ग्रो एट 2x द जीडीपी. जनरल साइंटिफिक फिगर कहीं से तो लाया था बट रिपोर्टेड है बेसिकली कि इंडस्ट्रियल गैसेस grow at 2x the GDP. So right now what you are getting in is to be able to get in a company where you will get India का जो भी GDP है उसके 2x का growth. So it seems like a good story on paper and that is where I was excited about this company as well. Delist हुआ है, वापस से relist हो रहा है. So I don't anticipate a lot of big listing gains, but it is a company which I will quietly apply enough to able to secure hopefully one big HNI allotment and keep it with myself. I have no idea how it will perform in the short term because the market is very uncertain. But I don't mind holding this in my long-term portfolio with a smallish stake because I'm sure this will do well just because of the segment. इसका जो आप segment देखो वो कहाँ ट्रेड करता है, लिन ट्रेड करता है एटीपी पे. अपना जो आइनॉक्स सीवीए ग्रुप है, सो बेसिकली आइनॉक्स सीवीए जो आइनॉक्स इंडिया जैसा मैंने बताया वो क्या करता है, इक्विपमेंट बनाता है क्रायोजेनिक की जिसमें इंडस्ट्रियल गैसेस सेव करता है. सो उसका एक वर्जन लाइक डाइवर्सिफाइड कंपनी है, उसके इक्विपमेंट बना रही है, वो 40 पी पे ट्रेड करती है. तो दिस शुड गेट अ गुड पी एंड इनकी ग्रोथ शुड बी एक्सप्लोसिव. सो आई डू नॉट थिंक इट विल लिस्ट वेरी वेल बट एंड आई डू नॉट थिंक इसमें मूव भी लाइक रिटेल स्टॉक ही नहीं है मेरे हिसाब से. धीरे धीरे चलेगा, इंस्टीट्यूशंस आराम से अक्यूमुलेट करेंगे, पिवट बनेगा फिर चलेगा. बट आई डू नॉट माइंड होल्डिंग वन allotment of this and keeping it in my long-term portfolio. So that is what my plan of Ellenbarrie is. Yash, correct me if I've said something wrong.
Yes, correct. Also, the valuations of 80x Linde is FY27 and we are getting this as at 35-40x FY26. तो वैल्यूएशन गैप ही बहुत बड़ा है अभी तो, प्लस मार्केट शेयर गेन करने के लिए भी बहुत कुछ पड़ा है, इबिडा मार्जिन में स्कोप है. तो आई थिंक दिस शुड डू वेल. एंड ऐसा नहीं होता कि अभी नेक्स्ट 1 year का फॉरवर्ड वैल्यूएशन कंपनी को नहीं मिलने लगेगा. ऑब्वियसली इट शुड ट्रेड 1 year फॉरवर्ड पे ही, क्योंकि वहीं से जिनको स्टोरी समझ आएगा, जो नंबर समझ गया, दे विल इवेंचुअली बाय इट. जो नहीं समझेगा वो मतलब जो भी है.
So again, having said that, this is what we felt about Aegis OPEC as well when we had put in our opinion. Aegis OPEC still continues to be around the same range. So this can also continue to consolidate for quite some time. But in the longest term, my personal view can be completely wrong. What I am planning to do is just to hold one allotment of this. I know Shiv is there, and this is what he likes to do. So I'm going to play his strategy and just hold on to one of the allotments in Ellenbarrie is what I'm personally going to do. With this, I think we have covered Ellenbarrie for now, unless yes, you have any last comments, or we can move on to one last issue.
Manish, I think we can move on. I'll mostly write a detailed post on it later. I have covered majority, 80% of the points which should matter the most. So,
Got it. Um, yeah, I expect a good ankle list as well. Motilal Oswal is the LM, but let's see how the ankle list comes. But having said that, I don't think ये story बहुत ज़्यादा समझेगी. So it will run धीरे धीरे बहुत आराम से. कोई जल्दी नहीं है मेरे को. So we'll see. With that, we will move on. We'll talk about one last company for the day before we might I might do a very small sneak peek of HDB Finance. We'll see. But moving on, we'll talk about Kalpataru Limited. Incorporated in 1988, company is a real estate development company based in Mumbai, Maharashtra. It specializes in developing residential and commercial properties, retail spaces, and integrated townships across several cities, including Mumbai, Thane, Panvel, Pune, Hyderabad, Indore, Bangalore, and Jodhpur. Just setting up the IPO, it's a 1590 crore IPO, 1590 crore रुपए का IPO है. Market cap है 8524 crores, 8500 crores. So बहुत ही सिंपल वैल्यूएशन है. $1 billion वैल्यूएशन पे आईपीओ आया है एट अ वेरी हाई लेवल. 1500 करोड़ रुपए का आईपीओ है. 1200 करोड़ का नेट डेप्थ वो चुका रहे हैं इसमें से. वेरी क्लीन स्टोरी, सिंपल स्टोरी. इन टर्म्स ऑफ द फाइनेंशियल्स की बात करूं, वेरी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड. FY24 में दे डिड 2000 करोड़ का टॉप लाइन एंड बॉटम लाइन वाज सम नेगेटिव 116 करोड़, क्योंकि कंपनी के पास कुछ 10,000 करोड़ का डेप्थ है ऑन द बुक्स. In terms of LM is ICICI, JM, Nomura. So अब चालू करते हैं कल्पतरू. बट हाई लेवल पे तो मैंने एक छोटा सा स्नीक पीक कर ही दिया है. बट having said that, कल्पतरू इज अ बिग ब्रांड. लाइक कल्पतरू का एक और लिस्टेड कंपनी है. सो इट्स अ ग्रुप ऑफ कंपनीज जो कि एक साथ लिस्टेड, जो एक कंप्लीट ग्रुप बनता है. इसमें से जो अभी लिस्ट हो रही है उसका नाम है कल्पतरू लिमिटेड, विच इज योर रियल एस्टेट आर्म ऑफ द कंपनी. बट इसके अलावा इनका कल्पतरू प्रोजेक्ट्स करके कंपनी है जो ऑलरेडी लिस्टेड है, जो ईपीसी करता है पावर ट्रांसमिशन का. एंड दैट्स अ मल्टी बैगर आईपीओ. लाइक 1995 टाइप में लिस्ट हुआ था आई थिंक. अगर अभी स्प्लिट मान लोगे तो लगभग 20 पैसे पे लिस्ट हुआ था. अभी कुछ 1100 रुपए का शेयर प्राइस है. सो द कंपनी, द ग्रुप इज वेरी वेरी स्ट्रांग. उसके अलावा they are also into warehousing, facility management, civil infrastructure, as well as real estate. Total company has 55 years of market presence and some 29,000 employees, and is present across 79 countries. So a very legacy group which is coming up with their IPO of their real estate arm. अब real estate arm में भी बात करूं, so if someone has, like I have lived in Pune, so I know this. Kalpataru is a very reputed brand in terms of like upper luxury and high premium segment where it kind of operates. So just setting it up, it's like it's a integrated real estate company focused on development of luxury, premium and mid income segment. कल्पतरू जो ब्रांड है वो अपने पेरेंट का ब्रांड नेम वो यूज करता है और उसके साथ उनका कुछ एग्रीमेंट है. जैसा मैंने बताया, लग्जरी, प्रीमियम और मिड इनकम रेजिडेंशियल, कमर्शियल एंड रिटेल प्रोजेक्ट्स ये मेजरली करते हैं. इसके बाद अगर कंपनी की बात करूं तो कंपनी ने अभी तक 120 प्लस प्रोजेक्ट्स किए हुए हैं अंडर द होल अम्ब्रेला ऑफ कल्पतरू ग्रुप, जिसमें से लगभग 110 प्रोजेक्ट्स इनने कल्पतरू लिमिटेड के अंडर किए हैं. 75 प्रोजेक्ट्स ये कंप्लीट कर चुके हैं. 25 प्रोजेक्ट्स अभी इनके चल रहे हैं. 6 प्रोजेक्ट्स अभी आने वाले हैं और 5 अभी और planned in the future in terms of like the presence of how many projects would be coming in the company. और कंपनी के पास लगभग 485 acres of land है जो कि different stages of development में है currently. लाइक 485 में से लगभग 260 एकड़ में इनका ऑनगोइंग प्रोजेक्ट्स चल रहे हैं. 260 एकर्स में 101 एकर्स में फोर्थ कमिंग प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं जो आने वाले हैं और 123 एकर्स में प्लान्ड प्रोजेक्ट हैं जो कि प्रोबेबली 2027 के अराउंड आएंगे. सो दे आर अ big reputed player. Like it is like these are the fifth largest player of MMR, Mumbai metropolitan region का fifth largest player है, थाने का seventh largest player है. So it's a big player in the industry and a very prominent name which is bringing their IPO. In terms of like disadvantages or problems with the IPO, before that, let me just maybe quickly talk about, as I said, कि IPO ला क्यों रहे हैं. So इनको अपना डेप्ट रीपे करना है, which is a lot. कंपनी पे कुछ 10,100 करोड़ 10,186 CR का डेप्ट है, which even if I take like let's say a very conservative number of 10% in real estate, the interest payment outgo is 1,000 crores per year. The company's top line revenue is 2,000 CR. So, and from what I understand about real estate is just about managing your cash flows very, very well. Which this company has just taken a lot of land. A lot of borrowing is kind of struggling on that front. What it wants to do is through this IPO, cover like 1,200 crores of this issue of this IPO funds into the debt, close that debt, and then will still have a debt, significant debt of like 9,000 crores, जो कि कंपनी के पास फिर भी रहेगी, which it will still be paying a interest on. Having said that, कंपनी के पास अनसोल्ड इन्वेंट्री पड़ी है आज के दिन में लगभग 8,500 करोड़ की. सो बेसिकली जितनी भी इनकी डेप्थ है उतनी ही कंपनी के पास अनसोल्ड इन्वेंट्री भी पड़ी है, which should knock off in a theoretical world. But the problem is, if companies close, they don't close because of बैलेंस शीट सबकी स्ट्रांग होती है. दे क्लोज बिकॉज ऑफ कैश फ्लोज. बट वो रिस्क थोड़ा सा मिटिगेट हो जाता है बिकॉज दिस इज अ बिगर ग्रुप. अगर ये सिर्फ कल्पतरू एक इंडिविजुअल रियल एस्टेट कंपनी होती, सो इट वुड हैव बीन वेरी वेरी रिस्की. बट विथ दिस बीइंग अ पार्ट ऑफ अ बिगर ग्रुप, दिस मेक्स इट स्लाइटली मोर कंफर्टेबल. जो मेरे को और कंफर्ट आया इसमें, उसमें 2-3 अच्छी बातें ये हैं कि कंपनी जो है अपना इन्वेंट्री जो है 55% ऑफ इन्वेंट्री विद इन 1 year ऑफ लॉन्च सेल कर देती है. 90% ऑफ देयर इन्वेंट्री दे आर एबल टू सेल बिफोर ऑक्यूपेंसी. उसके बाद भी इनके पास 8,500 करोड़ 8,500 करोड़ की इन्वेंट्री पड़ी हुई है. दैट जस्ट टेल्स द स्केल एट विच दे आर ऑपरेटिंग. इनके काफी बड़े और अच्छे नाम के प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं बॉम्बे में, मुंबई में. उसके अलावा अगर मैं बात करूं तो कंपनी के जो चीज अच्छी है कि कंपनी का कैश फ्लो अभी रोबस्ट हो गया है. क्यों? तो पिछले शुरुआत की कंपनी जब से बनी उसके 15 साल में देखो तो इन्हें 39 प्रोजेक्ट्स किए थे. पिछले 5 साल में इन्हें 27 कर दिए हैं. अगले साल में ये 27 करने वाले हैं. तो कंपनी अब क्या है, फास्ट ट्रैक एग्जीक्यूशन मोड में आ गई है. प्रमोटर्स ने भी इसमें फंड इन्फ्यूज करना चालू कर दिया है बहुत तेजी से. लाइक प्रमोटर्स ने अभी मार्च 2025 में 3 महीने पहले दे इन्फ्यूज्ड 1440 करोड़ इन द कंपनी एट अ प्राइस ऑफ 517 रुपीज का शेयर प्राइस. ये लोग ला रहे हैं अपना आईपीओ 414 कुछ पे, और प्रमोटर्स ने लगभग 20-25% प्रीमियम पे 1,400 करोड़ डाले हैं कंपनी में, which is a great sign. Plus, the kind of speed of execution at which this will come in, this just leaves a lot on the table. This just gives a good option. Having said that, want to highlight लीला में भी ऐसा ही था. लीला में भी promoters ने ज्यादा पे पैसे डाले थे, अपने इन्फ्यूज किए थे सीसीपीएस को कन्वर्ट करने के लिए, which the market didn't like, at least in the short term. We'll see. I'm still hopeful for Leela in the long term, but वहां पे growth concerns थे. यहाँ पे I somehow don't see those growth concerns because Kalpataru will be able to continue to churn out projects and be able to deliver because of its strong reputation, being in that upper luxury and upper premium segment, which the demand is increasing for continuously. अब मैं वीकनेसेस की बात कर लेता हूं तो मेजर वीकनेस इज रियल एस्टेट इन इटसेल्फ इज अ कैपिटल इंटेंसिव बिजनेस. एंड अगर साइकिल चेंज हुए, इफ लेट्स से वी गो इनटू अ recession or just the demand for real estate goes down, it can go bust because of the huge size of loan it is taking, it has on its book. So it is not a company for weak-hearted, for the lack of a better word. But अगर आप मेरे से पूछोगे तो वो रियल एस्टेट बस्ट साइकिल मेरे हिसाब से अभी दूर है. बट अगेन यूज योर ओपिनियन ऑन वेयर डू यू थिंक यू आर इन दैट साइकिल. I still think that there is a lot of healthy demand in India which will continue to prop, and the next 3 years for this company would essentially be well. सेकेंड डिसएडवांटेज और वीकनेस, कंपनी का मेजर रेवेन्यू 95% रेवेन्यू जो आता है वो मुंबई और पुणे से आता है. विच इफ यू थिंक अबाउट इट यू कैन कॉल इट अ वीकनेस, क्योंकि अगर कुछ भी रेगुलेटरी चेंज होता है इन एरियाज में तो इसको बहुत ज्यादा इम्पैक्ट पड़ेगा कल्पतरू को. बट आई थिंक दैट इज इन इट सेल्फ एडवांटेज, क्योंकि यहाँ के जो पर स्क्वायर फीट रियलाइजेशन रेट्स हैं वो भी सबसे ज्यादा हैं. बिकॉज इट हैज मोस्ट ऑफ इट्स रेवेन्यू कमिंग फ्रॉम हेयर, इट ऑल्सो इज एबल टू like command that premium or command that per square feet additional rate, which it is able to, fulfill. So that which is a good part. Having said that, I feel company का डेप्थ टू इक्विटी रेशियो जो कि बहुत ही हाई है, 3.5 का डेप्थ टू इक्विटी रेशियो है, which is like no go zone per se at a very high level. So see how you want to trade it. Again, like I said at Ellenbarrie, I do not feel that this will be a very like retail darling or a very uh, hotly subscribed issue. This will take time. But having said that, it's a Kalpataru brand. So I expect it to do well over a longish period of time. Just coming to now the valuation part. तो कंपनी का अगर मैं जो वैल्यूएशन की बात करूं उससे पहले let me just try and pull up कि कंपनी ने रेवेन्यू कितना किया हुआ है. Let me just quickly pull up the revenue part of the company. So एक बार FY22 में अगर मैं बात करूं, सो कंपनी मेड हाँ, सो FY22 में कंपनी डिड 1200 करोड़ का टॉप लाइन. FY23 में ये नंबर सुपर हाई है 37, बट उसमें 3700, उसमें उनने कुछ लैंड वगैरह बेचा था तो उसको इग्नोर मारते हैं. FY24 में दे हैव डन 2229 करोड़. FY25 में in the first 9 months they have done 1600 crores, so they should close at somewhere around 2200 crores type of revenue top line. PAT की बात करो तो कंपनी ने done a PAT of 5 CR, but again 5 is nothing because बहुत ज्यादा पार्ट तो कंपनी का बॉटम लाइन से इंटरेस्ट की वजह से चला जा रहा है. सो अगर आप इसको बोलोगे कि फिर उसको वैल्यू कैसे करना है भाई, सो प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू इज प्रोबेबली अ बेटर मल्टीपल कि कंपनी के पास कितनी वैल्यू का लैंड है और उसके बेसिस पे ये कितने टाइम्स पे आ रहा है, एंड उसको उससे कंपेयर कर सकते हो. तो इनने काफी जगह छोड़ी है एटलीस्ट एट दैट लेवल. लाइक कंपनी 2.7 के प्राइस टू बुक वैल्यू पे आ रही है. अगर आप इसके पीएस देखोगे जो इनने दिखाए हैं, ओबरॉय है 4.4 पे, सनटेक रियल्टी 2 पे है, मैक्रोटेक 7 पे है, कीस्टोन 2.4 पे है, गोदरेज 4.1 पे है, महिंद्रा लाइफ 2.9 पे है, डीएलएफ 4.9 पे है. सो आई थिंक डीएलएफ से इसको डिस्काउंट मिलेगा. प्रेस्टीज इज एट 4.7, अगेन प्रेस्टीज से भी डिस्काउंट मिलेगा, but probably somewhere around Oberoi is also at 4.4, but it is very close to those numbers. It is not at Suntech Realty sort of numbers which are at 2. This guy is at 2.7, so it is somewhere in between, but it should move towards the higher side of things. Similarly, enterprise value to sales का भी एक multiple use करते हैं. ये उसके basis पे 2024 sales पे 9.7 times पे, Oberoi 13 पे है, अपना डीएलएफ 26 पे है, प्रेस्टीज 11.5 पे. सो इनने 20% टाइप की जगह छोड़ी है, ऐसा मुझे दिख रहा है. बट हैविंग सेड दैट, अगेन वांट टू हाईलाइट द डेप्थ ऑन द बुक्स इज अ बिग cause of concern. 1,000 crores की डेप्थ is not a joke. It means 40% of the top line is eaten into interest expenses. So be careful of that. But having said that, the group's repute is so good that if there is a real estate boom cycle, this should do well. So again, I'm in two minds right now. I might skip this issue or I might just keep one lot on the side. Honestly, if you ask me, I would probably skip it because of all of these issues. But if someone wants to go and play it, I do not anticipate a lot of fireworks here. But over the longest term, this should do well simply because of the promoter company belongs to. The anchor book I expect to be decent, mostly led by mutual funds from my understanding, but we'll see how it comes along. So that is what the review of Kalpataru was. Let me just quickly see if there are any questions. एक क्वेश्चन है कि आर दे एक्सप्लोरिंग रीडेवलपमेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स? यस, आई सॉ दे अभी तक इंटरव्यू अवेलेबल नहीं है यार प्रमोटर्स का. सो एक ब्रोकर मीट का किसी ने यूट्यूब पे लिंक डाला था विच वाज ब्रोकन इन टर्म्स लाइक उसमें पीपीटी सही से नहीं दिख रही थी, बट एटलीस्ट दे मेंशन दैट दे डू रीडेवलपमेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स एज वेल एंड दे विल आल्सो लुक एट एसेट लाइट मॉडल्स राइट नाउ वेयर दे विल वर्क विद इन जेवीज विद few people. So let's see how that kind of evolves. But yeah, that is what uh, was with respect to Kaltaru. I see everyone has left the chat. Rohit has also left and Yash has also left, leaving me kind of alone. So we'll kind of close in the next 5 minutes. Just want to highlight a couple more things. We'll probably try and do one more space on Thursday where we'll do two more companies. संभव स्टील की बात करेंगे उसमें और उसके अलावा HDB फाइनेंस की बात करेंगे. And we'll see how we want to value those companies. But at least like HDB Finance, I'll just be very candid. I'll be applying to that issue because of HDFC name and the kind of multiple it is coming at, like price to adjusted book value. It's coming at at a multiple of 3.6. Cholamandalam is at 6.4. Bajaj is at 6. Sundaram Finance is at 4.2. So although there are growth concerns with HDB, but again, I feel there is enough left on the table. With HDFC name being there, I kind of feel secured of having it in my portfolio probably. Don't expect again any fireworks from this IPO, but I don't mind it being a certain allocation of my portfolio, so I will be applying. But having said that, we'll talk about it in detail in the next issue when we talk about HDB Financial, Sambhav Steel, and then there are some SMEs which we'll do. With that, we can kind of close the issue. I know Yash is back, so we'll see you guys again on Thursday. Until then, have a great night and thank you so much everyone for joining. Thank you. Bye.